Hello, friends. The 1,323 day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. After a lengthy pause, Russian forces have resumed their offensive in the Sumy region and made significant progress near Novomykolaiivka, according to the Ukrainian military telegram channel Deep State. The enemy is also advancing almost daily in the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhzhia regions. Over the past 24 hours, Russian forces have advanced in 5 areas in the western Zaporizhzhia region. The Russian Ministry of Defense announced the capture of Novogrihorivka, which, according to Ukrainian maps, is still in the gray zone. Ukrainian fighter Muchnoy writes that the loss of the village is confirmed by Russian flags planted there. He also notes that Russian forces are currently actively assaulting and attempting to capture Poltavka, where fighting is already underway in the center and which serves as a stronghold for the Ukrainian Armed Forces. The route to Huliaipole is now under threat, where the enemy has established fire control using FPV drones, while optical drones penetrate deeper and can conduct reconnaissance and fire adjustments directly along the vehicle's route, reports a Ukrainian military official. It's worth noting that the Poltavka bridgehead is a network of fortified areas located on the western bank of the Yanchur River. The loss of such a large defensive node would give the enemy a significant advantage. Firstly, it would open the way for further attacks towards Huliaipole. Secondly, it would allow them to take control of one of the key supply arteries, the Pokrovske-Huliaipole highway, which is currently crucial for our logistics. Over the weekend, Deep State reported a successful counterattack by the Ukrainian Armed Forces in the Dnipropetrovsk region. According to the channel's Telegram channel, the Ukrainian army has cleared Sosnivka, Novoslivka, Yanvarsky, and Koroshi. Furthermore, a long gray zone protruding toward Oleksiivka appeared on the map on October 6. Russians broke through there, taking advantage of the fog, Deep State reports. According to the Telegram channel, several groups of Russians entered the village in vehicles from the east over the past 2 days. Russia has recently begun regularly targeting Ukraine's rail infrastructure. Drone and communications expert Flesh warns that Russia could soon destroy Ukraine's entire railway system if urgent action is not taken. He notes that the Russians have begun tracking and attacking locomotives, without which the railway will grind to a halt. Freight cars are not a high-priority target, and a railway track is quickly repaired. A published video shows such an attack on a locomotive, which was expected to stop before it stopped. Flesh estimates that it should have driven into cover rather than waited for the attack. Another video previously revealed that locomotives in frontline regions have been protected with nets from drones. Today, Russia began extensively commenting on the possible supply of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. Moscow called on the United States to approach this issue soberly and sensibly, said Deputy Foreign Minister Ryabkov. He stated that this would mean direct U.S. involvement in military operations against Russia. Without software, without launchers, the missiles themselves are, so to speak, dummy missiles, Ryabkov said. Accordingly, and this has also been stated at a high level by the Russian side, the hypothetical use of such systems is only possible with the direct involvement of American personnel. Zakharova, a spokesperson for the same ministry, said that Russia is calling on the U.S. to exercise restraint. Moscow hopes that its signals to Washington will be heeded. If the U.S. does decide to transfer Tomahawk missiles to Kiev, it will cause irreparable damage to Russian-American relations, Zakharova stated. Commenting more broadly on U.S.-Russia relations, Ryabkov added that, unfortunately, it must be acknowledged that the powerful momentum generated in Anchorage in favor of agreements has been largely exhausted by the efforts of opponents and supporters of a war to the last Ukrainian, primarily among Europeans. He also reported that Russia has received no response from the U.S. to Putin's initiative to extend the agreement on the reduction of offensive weapons for a year. One of the key statements made by the Russians regarding the Tomahawk missiles is that the Anchorage momentum has been exhausted. More broadly, it's about the threat of disrupting the process of normalizing relations between Russians and Americans, particularly regarding Ukraine. Telegram channels close to the Kremlin are also writing about bidding farewell to Anchorage. They also claim that the response to the transfer of missiles to Kyiv, if any, will not be limited to statements, but will be followed by serious actions and likely military countermeasures. It is stated that there will be no warning about these measures, but rather they will be implemented upon completion. In other words, Russia is letting the Americans know that the consequences of the missile transfer could be unpredictable. Incidentally, I recall that almost a year ago, in November 2024, U.S. President Biden lifted the ban on the use of ATACMS missiles against Russia, after which they struck the Kursk region. A few days later, Moscow demonstratively launched an Orshnik missile against Ukraine. However, I would like to point out that there is no clear evidence yet that Trump has decided to transfer Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine.
Friends, I want to develop and strive for higher quality content, but my 2009 computer does not allow me to do this. If you have the opportunity to help me buy a new computer and make my dream come true, I will be very grateful to you. You will find the link in the description under the video and in the pinned comment. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.